Israeli authorities say at least 3 people have been killed and several more wounded after gunmen opened fire at a bus stop in Jerusalem. Police say the attackers arrived in a car and started firing on people waiting for buses. This footage of the attack was posted on social media by the Israeli Foreign Ministry. 2 Palestinian suspects were killed on the scene by security forces. News of the attack came shortly after a truce between Israel and Hamas militants was extended into a 7th day. The truce was brought first break in the Israeli bombardment of the Gaza Strip since the Hamas terror attacks on Israel on October 7th. Let's bring in DW correspondent Ben Fazulin in Jerusalem. Ben, what more can you tell us about the shooting attack?
Police say they neutralized, in their words, the 2 attackers, bringing the total number of deaths to 5, several injured, as you mentioned. 1 killed at the scene, 2 on their way, dying on their way to hospital. This all comes at a time of heightened tension here in Jerusalem and in occupied East Jerusalem, as well as the occupied West Bank. There have been raids by police almost every day since the beginning of this war, and especially with the background of these Palestinian prisoners being released. There are claims that police have been raiding their homes, surrounding some of the hospitals, preventing ambulances from arriving at those hospitals to bring in the injured, and clashes both between militants and Israeli forces. Also, a huge anti-terror operation is what Israel is calling it in Jenin, considered the stronghold of Palestinian militants, where 2 young boys died yesterday.
Ben, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is back in Israel. What does he want to achieve this time?
He's trying to get that truce extended. A longer ceasefire or permanent ceasefire is not on the US's agenda, nor is it on Israel's agenda. But Blinken did just say recently that after these talks, that progress is being made. That's the main thing, that these hostages are being released, that it all is going ahead as planned, even though it's all so last minute. It shows just how fragile this ceasefire is. They were expecting it to be extended by 4 days, only by another 24 hours. So it's being taken day by day. These hostage release lists also being released, and these lists of Palestinian prisoners.
Yeah, Israel says it has received a list of hostages who could be released today. Ben, what more do you know?
This is a really tricky one, Anthony, because we've just had news on Hamas's news channels that 3 of the hostages, their bodies will be handed over as part of that list today. We can't confirm those reports, but it does line up with what Hamas was saying yesterday, that the youngest member of the entire hostage group, a 10-month-old baby, is dead, according to them, along with his 4-year-old brother and mother. They claim this occurred during Israeli airstrikes prior to the truce. Whether or not this is true, there are so many doubts over this, because Hamas has claimed this before. An elderly woman who they declared dead was released among some of the first of the hostages to be released alive. And they've claimed that some 60 of the hostages in all have died during what they call Israeli airstrikes. So lots of doubts whether or not there will be an extension today, which hostages will be released, and whether or not they will be dead or alive, Anthony.
DW's Ben Fazulin in Jerusalem. Thank you. I can now speak to Adva Adar. She's the granddaughter of 85-year-old Yafa Adar, one of the first Israeli hostages freed by Hamas. Welcome to DW, Adva. After weeks of what must have been horrendous uncertainty, how does it feel to be reunited with your grandmother?
Wow, it's like a dream coming true. We were waiting about these days for 59 days, and being able to see her and hug her and smell her. It means the world to us, and And at the same time, it breaks our heart to think about all the others that are still being held hostage, and among them also my cousin, Tamir Adar. He's 38 years old, father of two young children, and is still in Gaza.
Yeah, those contrasting emotions, obviously, as you're waiting for news of your cousin. Almost a week now after the release of your grandmother, though, how is your grandmother doing at this point?
She's very strong and inspiring, and she's starting to understand what happened to her, what happened to this country, and she's trying to recover. And we're trying to do whatever it takes in order to help her recover from this hell she's been through.
What has she told you about where she was and how she was treated as a hostage of Hamas?
I can't share the information. I can only tell you that the conditions were nothing like an 85-year-old woman needs. The basic needs of an 85-year-old woman are definitely weren't what she's been through. So, but I can't share specific information.
Absolutely, I can understand what you can and can't share with the outside world. One thing the outside world did see was when she was abducted, a video of her arrival in Gaza that went viral. Your grandmother, Yafa Adar, was being driven around in a golf cart, wrapped in a pink flowered blanket, and many admired her for her calm and her stoic posture. She looked like she wasn't going to dignify the occasion by projecting fear. But how did she really deal with what came after that?
From what she's sharing, she kept this strength all over the way, even at hard times. She kept optimism, and she kept her strength and her dignity. And it was very important to her to be able to survive this hell and to come back home. And she's saying that even in hard times, she could hear their great-grandson calling her, and that it gave her power, and it told her that she has to do whatever it takes to survive, and she's done. And it's so inspiring, and I'm so proud to be her granddaughter. And I really wish that my cousin and all the other hostages will be back so we can reunite as a family and as a country with our loved ones, and to be able to recover from these tragic things that happened here.
You talk with great pride, understandably, about the strength of your grandmother and how that helped her get through the actual experience. But I wonder, what kind of help is she getting to cope with what she's been through and how she's going to plot a way forward through her life now?
We're still trying to figure it out with her. We're still trying to understand her needs and how we can help her. So right now we're focusing on giving her a lot of love and being with her at this really hard minute. And along the way we will understand how, and we will do everything in our power to make sure she will have a better future.
Let's come back to where we started. We talked about the contrasting emotions of your grandmother being free, but many more Israelis still being held hostage in Gaza, among them your cousin Tamir, whose photo you hold. What do you know, if anything, about his well-being at this point?
Unfortunately, nothing. Unfortunately, we, at least with my grandmother, we had the video. We knew she was taken alive. With Tamir, we have no information. We don't know his condition. We don't know if he's injured and if he's getting any medical care. It's really hard not knowing how is he handling this and what he needs, and when he will be able to come back, because As you know, there's no deal that is talking about demands, and we really need to think about them as someone's father or someone's sons, and we need to return them to their families. They lived their lives quietly. They got taken from their lives, from their houses, and they are civilians that needs to come back home.
Adva Adar, proud cousin of Tamir, proud granddaughter of freed hostage Yafa Adar. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you. Thank you.